I was probably standing from me to you. And I seen it lunge, and as soon as I tried to get out of the way, my foot had slipped into the grass. I didn't have no shoes on at the time, so it had cut half my foot off.
Foot slipped underneath that little guard. Yeah.
Slipped right underneath. And that's when my life definitely changed.
All right, welcome back. Today I'm joined by Mr. Ira. Thank you for coming today, sir. And
Pleasure
Mr. Danny. Thanks for coming, man.
How you doing?
Yeah, pleasure.
coming,
This is Ira's buddy who does a lot with him, which we'll get into in a little bit. But right now, we're going to join us for Ira's story. And just kind of want to start out like we always do about talking about Ira and his story about how he became an amputee and where he is today and what he's doing, because Ira actually competes with regular people like Danny in Jiu-Jitsu tournaments and been doing it for quite a while now. Have another one coming up actually. What's the date that you're going?
July 6th.
July 6th. July 6th has one coming up again.
ADCC.
Yeah, ADCC. Cool. And be able to get into the story a little bit and talk about it and how he found positivity out of the misery that he had to go through. So, Ira, how'd it happen to you, man?
So
this is when you were younger, right?
Yeah, this was when I was younger. I was 11 years old. Dad was outside mowing the grass, normal summer day, and me and my brother was just kids running around the yard, and my dad decided to get off the lawnmower, and that was when lawnmowers didn't have what's it called?
That safety switch.
Safety switches,
the pressure switch or whatever.
So he gets off the lawnmower, it's an old snapper mower, and me and my brother are standing in front of it. And my brother, being a kid, how kids are with toys and everything like that, went over and yanked the gear into drive or whatnot.
Okay.
And
which, real quick, I gotta say, as someone who lost his leg at 22, and to be honest, I don't really remember what happened in the accident and stuff.
Right.
You were 11.
I was 11. I remember the whole thing.
Yeah. That's not going away anywhere.
No,
you're already a developed brain, and that's got to be something that sticks with you for a long time. And,
yeah. And it does. It's and was traumatized back then as a kid, but now I definitely play around with the same story of not just getting my foot cut off, but my dog picking my foot up and running around the house with it. And my dad coming outside after that and started chasing the dog.
Yeah, stop that dog.
Stop that dog. So
drop that foot.
Yeah,
drop that foot. That's
drop
what
that
it
foot.
is. Yeah. That's crazy.
I see that still in my mind today, and it's just I laugh about it. I got to, that's the whole reason why I got the tattoo on my leg.
Which we have to see, right?
Of the dog with a foot in his mouth and riding the lawnmower and drop that foot. Shout out to Robbie Rapal in Melbourne for doing this tattoo for me.
I love that.
I
love that. In my opinion, that's I'm sure people say it to you all the time. People will say it to me of just how do you stay so positive the way you are with everything that happened to you?
Yeah.
Well, that's how, you take it, you move on, you do what you can with it, right? Now it's something funny that you get to share and try to encourage other people. You got to move on from what happened to you and just make the best of it.
You have to. And it's you tell somebody, I tell somebody the story and you can see they want to laugh. And God, I don't want to offend this dude by laughing. And
scared to actually let it out.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here busting out cracking laughing. And it was I don't know what to say or what to do or can I laugh about? Yeah, laugh. It's funny. It's my story.
What do I do with my hands? What do I do here?
With my hand, right?
Right.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is also though. I could imagine, when I was 19, 20, 21, and I didn't know anyone that was an amputee. If someone told me that story, I'd probably be a little confused too. Do I laugh here?
Absolutely.
I feel like you'd have to because, again, you take it so well and laugh about it. But also, it is hard for other people to because they're imagining the pain side. They don't understand that we're still just the same people, right? And so it's just something that happened. Just like everyone's got something that happened to them.
And
But-
even like, even with Danny and some of the guys I do jiu-jitsu with, our professor was just like, I don't care if you're missing a foot. I'm not going to treat you no other way. You're gonna get in here and grind.
Those are the best.
That's like, that was the best.
No excuses.
I usually hide his foot. Because he has to take his foot off sometimes to train, right?
Yeah.
Because that thing hurts, man.
Oh,
right?
yeah, I'm sure.
And he'll take his foot off, and you know Iris here because you'll see him like hopping across the mat, right? And then start rolling with everybody training, and then right before I leave, I'll see his foot, and I'll just grab his foot, I'll put on top of a cubby or something, and he, he's like, "Where's my foot?"
I love
and I'm
it.
already taking a shower, and he's looking for his foot, We try not, honestly, man, I forget he's missing a foot.
Yeah.
Like nobody really looks at it,
Any different.
Any different,
Yeah, so, and I love that because, especially in jiu-jitsu, something where you're rolling around all the time, like, it's something where you notice little differences a lot of the time. Well, actually, and we'll jump into that in a second, because first I want to talk about, there is that misery before you find the positive man that's sitting in front of us today. The one that can laugh about it, have a good time, right? Because you went through the nitty-gritty, you went through the bad to get to where you are today to be able to smile about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's one thing that, like, I just want to bring up, because I know you're willing to talk about it, is high school and the things that you had to go through to adapt. And, like, I know we had talked previously about, like, the swim team and stuff and things that you had to overcome.
Yeah.
But just, like, having to grow up, and you had that 11 years, just with everything and normal fitting in kid. But then kids are mean, kids are harsh.
Yes,
and then
absolutely.
now you have to keep a positive mindset and keep pushing forward while other kids are looking at you in a different way and treating you a different way now. Right? Because something happened to you.
Yeah, and I mean, growing up in a small town, and I think the class of like 03 that I graduated in, I think there was only like maybe 1,500 students or something like that within the whole school. So like graduation was like what, 300 kids maybe?
Yeah.
So growing up in a small town, you're like, I was the only amputee in my high school.
Yeah.
So, nobody else was an amputee besides me, so I didn't really know how to feel.
Navigating it alone, kind
of.
Yeah.
And, not really talking to anybody about it, but having martial arts and being on, like, doing, like, the swim team and stuff like that, it helped me mentally to understand I might be different. This is technically is a handicap, but I'm not gonna look at it that way.
Yeah.
And having I had my martial arts instructor, Tommy Reeves, like, he didn't treat me no different either. I started martial arts when I was 9, lost my foot at age 11, and that helped me with the darkness of losing a foot, being a kid, not really understanding who I am. Am I embarrassed about this? I wore, there was times I would go places in the summertime and I would wear pants just because I didn't want people to ask questions.
Yeah.
Or I would, go to like people's houses just to hang out and have pants on, knowing they know who I was.
Yeah.
But I was so embarrassed that I had a prosthetic.
Yeah.
And trying to hide that, and it's hard. You're a kid.
Especially as a kid when you're at that age worrying about what people think about you.
Yeah. Your looks on life, I'm not the normal kid. I'm like, normal kids are worrying about pimples on their face, or, oh, well, so-and-so thinks this about me, blah, blah, blah. Mine was more, as an amputee, you're more of that. It's like, it's more intensifying. You're trying to get along with other kids, and also, like, you're worried about this foot.
Trying to figure out how to do it. How to do what they're doing too, and like jump right back into life.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's tough, man. And it's especially at that age. Like I know, again, a big thing that I got chills now thinking about it and talking about it. Getting out of my accident, I wouldn't be where I am without my friends and my family. Right. Like just those people that, like you said earlier, which I always get emotional. Sorry about.
No, you're good.
But yeah, just not treating you different, right? Being the same person. Like when I remember something that I'll always remember, my buddies told me that my dad never actually told me until later, but he had talked to my friends that were there and just said, like, just don't treat him any different.
Right.
He's Tanner still, he's still the same kid. We can't give him slack. We can't treat him any differently.
Right.
And I mean, just the way that everyone, just treated me like Tanner really made it a lot easier. So I could see that would be so hard to try to navigate with the ones that aren't treating you like that.
Right.
But then if I remember correctly, you did have that support too in the hospital and when you went through it and everything, and that's what really helped bring you back out of it too.
Yeah, and I mean, even my I remember my karate instructor at the time coming into the hospital and was just like, you're gonna get back in there.
Yeah.
You know, you're gonna get back into doing martial arts again. This is not gonna stop you.
Yeah, no hesitations.
And there are no hesitations whatsoever. So that kind of gave me that drive a little bit. Was still scared.
Yeah, of course.
Am I going to be able to do this again? It took a while to understand that. And I mean, because I was like devastated. I was like, told myself, I don't think I can do this.
Yeah.
I might have all this this support behind me, but mentally in my head, like that's the dark side of being an amputee.
Yeah.
For anybody, a child growing up.
Negatives.
Yeah, you focus on the negatives because you feel like you lost something.
Yeah, you're lesser than them.
Yeah. And, that's what sucks.
Absolutely.
And like being a kid, like you have to have, I don't know. It's like you have to understand, like it's okay to be different.
Yeah.
It's okay to not always fit in, and having support of like, for me, of like martial arts to have that outlet. And kids nowadays are not like kids like we grew up.
It's different.
But Danny knows this, and I know this. Like his son boxes.
Yep.
And
very well.
Very well. And it's like, growing up in a sport of like from wrestling to boxing, you're gonna be a different kid. You know that. I know that, I think, anyway. And I think because of martial arts is the person I am now.
Yeah.
And,
that's awesome.
Having, just boxing myself, even when I was a teen or when I was, in my early 20s and stuff like that, learning how to box. Like it helped me drive myself, still knowing the fact that I have this dark side in me because I'm missing a foot. And amputees are sometimes for me, like, I know, like I'm always feeling sorry for myself.
Yeah. It's hard not to sometimes.
Yeah. And that's something I wanted to ask too as an adult.
Yeah.
Now, like, do you still feel different even as does it still bother you, even though like this happened when you was 11 years old,
right.
And then you kind of got through it a little bit, and then you're like, okay, I thought this way because I was a kid,
right?
Because kids, they care what other people think, right?
Right.
But I think even as adults, we care what people think. We might say we don't, but we do care about our image, right? Do you still go through that, like, man, like let's say you're dating a girl for the first time and you have a sneaker on, and you're like, when do I tell her my foot's missing? Like, do you still think that way?
I do. And it's when I'm in public, right? It's when I'm like, when I'm surrounded by people that don't really know me. And I'm just like, I kind of feel like I want to hide myself a little bit. I'm like, they don't, I don't want to be judged.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing. Like, I still feel that in my heart of like how I was when I was a kid. And I still get that way, like even if I go, like, when we go to tournaments and stuff, like I feel that. Like, I'm like, crap, like.
I feel like everyone's eyes are on you.
Yeah. Like, and it's wild. And for me personally, I don't think I'll ever get over that at all.
Right, that's what I meant. Like, did you get over it? Or?
Yeah, I don't think I ever will. Even though I know I'll be 40 this year, and I'm just like, I still feel that. And and I'm like, is this an excuse, or is this just how I always feel? I don't know. I don't know about you, if you feel that way or.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It resonates with me a lot. So, I mean, as someone, I struggle going to the grocery store, because a lot of the times I'm going in my wheelchair.
Right.
And especially if I bring my daughter anywhere with me, I have to go in my wheelchair because it's not safe for me to try to walk with my daughter if something were to happen, if she runs to the street, anything like that.
Right.
So, yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, it's very easy to smile and enjoy life around people that know who you are, which is why I feel so comfortable coming here. Right. I'm sure you do too.
Absolutely.
Or around like I love golfing with Danny because Danny knows me now. Danny's used to you, so like there's never been an issue or anything, and like I don't feel like it's anything like that. But yeah, when you're public or in a new place or just especially like intimate things, right? You're going somewhere like with your girl or something,
Right. Yeah.
and it's not a lot of people, but no one knows who you are, and it feels like everyone's staring and wants to ask you and talk to you about it, and then like conversations you feel like are going differently, but maybe they're not.
Right.
So like I think a lot of it, yeah, for sure, still stays in the head, and it's the perception of what people see you as, right? Because it's very hard not to think about what other people think about you.
Yep.
But I think it was hard because I think it's important to rise above that and not have that fear to go out and live your life, right? That's one thing that my wife always tells me is, you know, Ava and I, my daughter and I, you know, they're not going to remember if I go out with them in a wheelchair, if I'm walking and we go to the pumpkin patch or go pick strawberries next weekend like we're trying to do, right? But they do remember if we didn't go do that, right? We just don't even have that memory because I chose selfishly that I don't want to go in front of these people, right? Like going to the pumpkin patch this year.
Yeah.
I remembered last year going to the pumpkin patch in my wheelchair, I didn't want to do it again. You know what I mean? Like there's so many kids running around always asking about the leg and like the people that are looking at you, the other young people and young couples out there that like, you're like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to like talk to these people. They're probably from our area, but nah, like we don't do the same thing. So it's not, you know, just that self-consciousness. And then I pushed myself to walk when I went to the pumpkin patch this year because I didn't want people to think that way about me. And I ended up not enjoying it as much because I chose to try to walk. You know, I was in a lot of pain the whole time and struggled through the whole thing. So yeah, it's so much up here about what other people think about you. But that's why I think it's so incredible that, number one, you go out and do the thing you do in front of everyone. And it's not like I'm going for the adaptive US Open. You know, everyone out there is messed up in some way.
Right.
It makes me feel more comfortable. I'm playing with other people like myself, right? You're going out there with people like Danny.
Yeah.
You're going out there with people that have no disabilities, that, you know, they're not used to trying to...
Just the golf swing, to me, is a disability. But
yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
Definitely handicapped there, man.
Not wrong, man. But yeah, you're going into somewhere it's unknown, right? I mean, Danny, how did you ever think rolling around and doing jiu-jitsu, you'd be doing it with someone missing a foot, missing a leg?
Not at all, man. Not at all. It's crazy because everybody has demons, right?
Yeah.
Everybody has demons, and whether it's, you know, physically, whether it's, you know, a drug problem, whatever it is, like Ira needs to understand, you know, should understand that when he walks on that mat, you know, everyone would look at him and say, man, you know, if he doesn't care, I shouldn't care. Whatever that demon is, right? Yours is a foot, somebody's a drug addiction, somebody's a, you know, a mental, you know, anything. Like, that's why, like, I forget you're missing a foot. I forget you're missing a leg and we're golfing, because I feel better being around you, because if you're doing these things and you don't care, then I shouldn't care about my demons as well. And we just have a good time for an hour or two, you know? So is it different rolling with somebody with a disability? Yeah. It's actually an advantage on them. You know,
Slipping out.
Yeah, it's slipping out. You're trying to grab a heel hook or something, and the foot's not there. And by the time you know, it's crazy because, and I know you're gonna get into this later on, but when he competes,
we can get into it now, yeah.
when he competes, you know, I'm always there. I always say, like, there's certain positions that someone would go for to attack Ira.
Okay.
Right? So when they first start the match, you'll see it. Like, they'll look and they'll say, okay, he's missing a foot. But and then when that match starts, they forget he's missing a foot, right? They completely forget.
It becomes competition.
Right, and then when they go for that foot and they miss, and I'm like, he got him. And
Just that one
yeah,
slip
just that one.
take
The guy's
advantage
like,
of it.
oh man, he doesn't have a
Yeah.
foot. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
that's how he kind of wins a lot of his matches, man. You know,
Yeah.
because they go for that foot.
That's awesome.
You
It's
know?
like the psych out in a way.
And technically, like, and Danny knows this, I lead with that foot.
Okay.
So I'm
Interesting.
I'm on my nub, standing on my nub, and I'll lead in with that foot on the
I
ground.
guess that makes sense. Your base plant
Yeah.
foot is your
My
back foot.
back, yeah.
Because
Okay.
jiu-jitsu has a lot of like leg locks.
Yeah.
Right. They attack the leg.
So then they're grabbing for the leg first.
right. They're going for it, and then
Yeah.
when they realize it's like no foot.
It's already too late.
Yeah. Now he's attacking, and it's like it's too
Yeah.
late. You know.
Oh, that's
And
interesting.
I'm like, this is my pawn. Go ahead, grab it.
Yeah. Tease him a little bit.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. I love that actually, because I know we've talked off camera a couple times about it in separate occasions and everything, and I've always expected to hear what I thought I would hear from Danny, which is just that, you know, it's no one really treats him much differently, and really it's just the fact that you're getting out there and doing it. I think that it doesn't really matter, right? Because you're just out there competing like everyone else. But then the fact that you get that a little advantage too, because you do still technically have a disadvantage. You don't have that foot to plant off of and
Right.
transition off of and push off of and stuff like that. Like you got to go off of a small nub on the bottom of your shin, you know? And so it is a disadvantage, but you use it and you find advantages with it, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Which is, that's awesome. And how long have y'all been doing jiu-jitsu together?
Since 2021, June.
About 3 years. Yeah. We
Okay.
started around the same month or so, like
Yeah.
a couple months. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, and is that the biggest difference that you see when we're talking about competing or going out with Ira? Is it just the fact he just uses everything to his advantage, or like, I'll ask you in a second, but do you ever see the disadvantages that he has, or is it?
I mean, there is some disadvantages, right?
Yeah.
But what I like is that when he sees that disadvantage, he works on that disadvantage, right?
I like that.
He says, well, okay, this is not gonna work, right?
Yeah.
But how can I make this work my way, right?
Okay.
For instance, not to blow up your spot, but
No,
a
you're
couple
good.
weeks ago we were standing, ready to compete, ready to train, and ready to start rolling, and I foot swept him, right? Because he doesn't have the balance on the other leg, right? But I'm telling myself, okay, next time I roll with Ira, I'm gonna foot sweep him because he doesn't have the foot. It's pretty bad move on my part, right? But
mean,
it
he
is what it
uses his
is.
as an advantage, so.
But then he learns from that, right? Then he says, okay,
Yeah.
Danny knows my disadvantage, right? So what I tell him, I said, you need to start standing up all the time. You need to make that work, because they're gonna go for that. If you're in a competition and they see you're missing a foot, and as you progress through belts, everybody's technique progresses, right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, they're just thinking about getting on the floor and grappling, but as the belts progress, you start to see really like holes in somebody's game. They'll see that foot. They'll try to like foot sweep him or something because they know he doesn't have the balance.
Yeah.
But he's working on
Instead
that, right?
of going for the bait.
Right. So
Yeah.
what happened? 2 weeks later, maybe like last week, he takes me down. You understand?
Yeah.
I couldn't sweep him this time. He worked on it.
I like that.
So he didn't let that. He didn't say, hey, you
Yeah,
know
you
what?
found your little-
Yeah. He didn't say, hey, this doesn't work for me. Let me start this. No. He's like, no, we're gonna start this way.
Yeah, not
He
gonna
found-
happen again. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
happened? 2 weeks later, he got me.
That's what's up.
You know? Yeah.
So same question to you then. So is similar what you're gonna say, or stand up, or now when you're doing it yourself, do you feel the disadvantages when you're rolling and you don't have the foot to push off? Do you feel those little things that maybe someone else has by the, because I can only imagine, I only have one foot and it doesn't
Right.
work, but even with the one that doesn't work, it makes it really tough for me to try to like roll over even in bed or do certain things in bed without the foot, right?
Yeah.
So we take that to the next level about rolling with other people that are using their able bodies and stuff. I could
Right.
imagine that would be kind of tough to try to do certain things with power or something, or make big transitions, or
Yeah, I mean, like Danny was saying about my stand-up, I feel like my stand-up game's horrible because I don't work it enough, right? And I know it's something that I need to do more because, every match starts from, stand up. So it's like I have to realize, like, I might be missing a foot, but I still have to work my stand-up game. I have to.
yeah,
There's no ifs, ands, and buts about
well-rounded.
it. Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
be well-rounded. And is that a disadvantage for me because I'm missing a foot? Yeah, of course. But it's still something I want to work on.
Yeah.
No matter what, no matter how old I get, I'm still going to be trying to work on my stand-up game. I know I have to.
So is that the weakest part, you think? And
I think so.
Once you get down, is it primarily you're using your knees and stuff like that, so you don't see as much of the differences?
Yeah, I mean, I play. Danny knows this too. I play a lot
on
of
his back. Yeah.
I play a lot of back.
Okay.
And even though I have one foot,
sense.
I'm still using my foot for my hooks and everything like that. And
Yeah.
And Danny knows this, and he hates it too as much as everybody else tells me. I'll take my nub and I'll stick that thing straight in.
Yeah, so I was just about to say that,
it
right?
hurts.
Like the liver.
I know it hurts.
Yeah, I was just about to say that because there is a technique where to keep distance on somebody, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or frame, you'd put the bottom of your foot on their hip, right?
Yeah.
So it's if I'm rolling with someone with a foot, it's comfortable.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
It just keeps me away from them, right?
Okay.
They can keep me off of them, right?
Yeah.
But when you put a nub there,
Yeah, a pointy.
yeah,
And it's got a little
hurts.
bone too. Like
Oh,
my
Yeah.
bone.
So it makes me make a mistake.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, and then he'll capitalize on that.
Yeah.
Because it hurts.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
That's cool.
And to go back real quick on the stand up thing, when I foot swept him, kind of remember him was like, I'll just like, start from the bottom, right? And I'm like, no, get up.
He's like, dude,
Get up.
get up, man.
Yeah.
I don't care how many times I sweep, get up.
Yeah.
And we need that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
Can't have people that are okay with you sitting down and
or
just doing
saying,
your
you know
way,
what? Or
right?
saying, hey, Ira, so guess what? You do have a disability, so you should start working on, from the bottom. No, get
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
Yep.
No
different than anyone else.
Exactly.
Again,
Danny's
that's
one
right
of the,
back to the same
like,
thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
Danny's
exactly.
one of the one person that like keeps me motivated for that.
That's awesome.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
we staying on our feet.
You need that, man. It comes back to what we talked about earlier when it first happened and stuff, having the coach and the people around that tell you, you got to keep moving forward, and
Right.
we're not going to treat you any different. It's the same thing. Yeah, if someone is giving you an easy way out, you're not going to improve and get better and better
Exactly.
yourself.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
but we do sometimes need that person to kick us in the
Yeah.
and say, you still got to do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And being an amputee, it's we have our dark times, just like anybody else. I know, like everybody does have demons, but for amputees, I feel like I don't want to say it's an excuse at all, because I don't believe in excuses. Like it's like you can say, well, I'm having a shit day because my leg hurts. It might be, but you still got to get through the day.
Yep.
Like, don't make it an excuse. And I find myself doing that
Okay.
still, like today. Like,
I mean, so I think there's also like a fine line between excuses and things that are actually like, let's be real, like it's different having a prosthetic and wearing
is.
these things every day.
Yes.
I've got a hole in my leg right now from
Right.
pressure alone that's been there for 3 weeks now that we're trying to figure out,
Yeah.
because Ira's also one of my prosthetists. he works
Well,
on these things and builds
technician,
technician,
yeah.
sorry, but builds these things and so it is tough, man.
Yeah,
It's hard. You're talking about everyone's used to walking on a foot too,
Yeah.
right? So you can imagine you have a nice thing to like plant on, a nice platform and stuff. It's comfortable for the rest of the bones in your body. For me, I'm through the knee. And so as a through knee amputee, I have like a cushion on the bottom. I'm on my femur, which is like the biggest bone we have in our legs.
Right.
So I got a lot of push on mine. This guy is below knee, which advantage, you have your knee still for sure. Disadvantage, the shin bone is so small that you're talking about like, you're
like
probably like this, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what he's on. It's
like
just
a knife.
quarter, yeah, like that's crazy, right? You got to put all of the weight of your body, no matter what you're doing. How much were you squatting the other day? Or not the squats, they were the,
like pull-ups.
no, when you put the bar on your,
Oh, Zercher squats.
yes, Zercher squats. How much were you doing on those?
I don't know.
we just did a workout
We just
this
did
morning.
Zercher squats.
Yeah, but
actually.
we also did the ladder drill.
Okay.
And it's like he's
I'm trying to get like what
but
the weight
no,
is
but what I'm
on
saying,
the
even
leg.
still, like he's just like moving like a regular
Yeah.
person,
The crazy thing to me is just we talked about it recently when I saw the videos and stuff, is when you're putting 200
Yeah.
and you're doing squats.
on a bone that small, right?
Yeah, on a
it's
bone
crazy.
again that small is the bone, like the size of my eyeball, right? All of your weight is going on that, and you're doing it on the toe of your prosthetic foot. Yeah, and still being able to have that balance. I hope we can put the clip in. We'll send it and to our guy Chris. Thank you, Chris, for doing all of this, by the way, in the editing. Thank you behind the camera. Absolutely crazy, right? Just doing all of this on a nub that is the size of a 25-cent coin. You know, maybe a little bit bigger. Yeah. So
small little baseball.
Yeah, that's impressive in my opinion. And there's, you know, not discrediting in any way, but that's the cool thing about where we are here, prosthetics and orthotics associates in Orlando, POA. Thank you, Stan, for letting us use his plays. Yeah. But we see so many people that have awesome stories like Ira's here that are doing incredible things just on these tiny little nubs that they have left over. And like I struggle so much with this one, yet everyone always tells me it's a blessing that I have this one. So I wouldn't say necessarily excuses, because it is tougher to be on that thing with everything that you're doing throughout the day and how active you are and stuff. Like stuff happens, you get sores, like it's hard on your back, like things change on your back, your hips, you walk different, like everything's different. So I'm a big believer in, and I wouldn't have said this maybe like 5-6 years ago. I was more stubborn myself, but I'm a big believer these days in it's not excuses if it's real, right? This is a real problem that we have to deal with a lot of the times as amputees. Is stuff happens when you're not walking like you're meant to be walking. So it's even more props that you do push through it, you know, to be out here and still be doing what you're doing. It's just and nonstop. And I think literally nonstop. This guy's in the gym nonstop here.
Yeah, I mean,
you gotta tell him to go home sometimes. You gotta tell him to
be with your girl.
Take a day off. Yeah. Because he'll come in, he's like, "Oh, guys, you know, my shoulder or something.
My back,
dude, take off." Yeah, I can't. You know,
I don't want to. It's a mental thing for me. It helps me get through entire week.
Yeah.
You know, even though like, you know, I have this thing like, you know, like. Feel like sometimes I'm an alcoholic because I like to drink so much, you know, and I'm just like, well, maybe if I work out, maybe it'll make me feel a little bit better about myself, you know. And it's just like, you know, you kind of with working out, it tells me, hey, like you have this thing that your body allows you to do. You could be sitting on the couch eating Doritos, watching TV, and you can be a piece of shit, or you can work out and use the body that God gave you to, you know, make yourself look as like, you know, what you need to be, like a, you know.
Amen.
I feel like your body is like a, you know, like a playground. You know, use it to your advantage.
Yep.
You know, every day.
Yep. If you don't use it, you lose it.
You're gonna lose it. Yeah, absolutely.
Which we see here also all the time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, you still have to maintain it though. Also, you know, good food. I know, like, you know, Danny's a big foodie, man. Like, you know, you still need your good protein. You still need your good carbs and everything like that. So a good diet also on top of that.
Yeah, you don't give a race car 89 fuel.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Absolutely. You got to make sure you're feeding yourself right. Which also, as you know, I'm starting to finally learn myself recently. It's because it makes a difference.
It does.
You feel better. You can work out more. Your body recovers better. I see you in the sauna all the time and stuff. You do the ice baths?
I do. Yeah. And it took me a while to get used to that. Like,
ice baths.
And it's crazy because when I started doing ice baths, I didn't know I had Raynaud's disease. So it's just like my fingers actually go completely numb.
Okay.
My two fingers.
Because I remember when we talked last time, your hands were like white.
Yeah, they're white.
Could feel them.
Yeah, and that's Raynaud's. And I didn't know that until I started doing cold plunge.
Interesting.
So, you know, normally it's, you know, 3 minutes in cold plunge, then jump in the sauna, try to jump back into the cold plunge after that. You always want to finish off with the cold plunge.
Okay.
Not with heat. Like, you know, try to listen to a lot of podcasts with, like, you know, Lex Freeman and, you know, Rogan and all them guys or whatever. Andrew Humerman talks about, you know, cold exposure or whatnot. So it's just like trying to listen to, you know, good advice from guys like that. And, you know, it works.
Learn and just get better.
Yeah. It helps your body throughout the day. I feel like, you know, you're more energized throughout the day. We do jiu-jitsu at 6:30 in the morning. So it's like, after I get done with that, I'm here at work. So it's like,
got to make sure you're not exhausted
Yeah.
and falling asleep out there.
absolutely.
After-
and
all that energy and stuff.
taking a cold shower in the morning time also I found out helps too. So like, as soon as you get out of bed, I'm jumping in the cold shower for 3 minutes.
Okay.
And it's like a cup of coffee.
Yeah. I've heard that recently.
Man,
so you do that, yeah?
Yeah, that.
I've been debating trying that because I can't do the cold plunge.
Yeah.
I keep trying to make myself. I know we talked about it. I can't
Yeah.
do the cold plunge,
Yeah.
but I want to do that at least because it gets your body like jolt started,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah,
And,
that's
and
cool.
I have a little process. It's like you wake up in the morning, I jump in the shower in the cold for 3 minutes, do greens like daily greens or whatnot, and then coffee. And then I'm out the door doing jiu-jitsu at 6:30 in the morning. So not every day, I still I'm going through this phase where I don't want to do gi right now. I'm just doing no gi, and that's just I don't know. It's just me.
Yeah.
But it's a routine. It's
Yeah.
how
You have to stick to the routine. And
Absolutely.
if you don't have it, then this
Yeah.
goes out the door, and
Absolutely.
the demons start coming in a little bit
yeah,
more.
yeah. I want to drink
Yeah.
more. I want to do dumb shit.
Yeah, well, because
Yeah,
when you're
that-
not training, the other things come out as options.
Definitely, like if if you don't, well, a lot of us can relate to this in jiu-jitsu because we always talk about it. If we don't train in the morning, right? If you take a day off, fine. But if you take a couple days off, you don't train in the morning, your day is not the same.
Nope.
Yeah,
It's not the same.
it's
man.
like missing the gym in
you
the
get
morning.
very
same thing.
you get very moody. It's like that. Like if you're if you're used to going to the gym every morning, it's just your day's not the same.
Yeah.
It's not like you need to. And the cool thing about our jiu-jitsu class is that we have real friends there.
Yeah.
Like we're true friends, right?
Yeah.
You miss a day, you're getting a DM or a text. Hey, what's up?
Someone's
You
holding
slacking?
you accountable.
Yeah.
You slacking? I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I took a day
Yeah.
off. Like,
That's cool.
I took a day off. Oh, you forgot jiu-jitsu? You're not doing this no more? You're quitting, Dude, I took one day off. Come in the evening. Don't even wait till tomorrow.
Yeah.
Come in the evening class.
Yeah, come to
And
my-
you're
That's
like,
cool.
Yeah.
and then it's like, you wake up in the morning, you don't want to go, and you're like, I don't feel like everybody texting me today why I didn't come to class, so let me go to class.
Yeah.
And then you get there, you do your hour, you're like, man, I'm glad I came here. Why? They made me come
Changes
here.
your day then.
And they made me come here.
Yep. That's cool. Yeah, I think it's why I think every kid should be in sports.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've talked about it on the golf course.
Yeah.
Like boys got their dad and they got their coach, and that's like something that's missing in a lot of kids' lives these days.
The
is-
two most important people to raise a boy
Yeah.
is the father and the coach.
Yeah. Those relationships are so special. And like when you have that, it's also that place for just to go do your thing and have that outlet, learn discipline, and obviously make some of the best friends you'll ever make when you do things like that, because what you go through together doing it and what you learn together doing it too, honestly. So like, it's just, you miss something like that. It makes sense. It kind of throws off your entire routine, and
Yeah.
you're an animal, man. I've been excited about this podcast because I wish you guys knew, like, it's just, I think it's so cool about the fighting aspect that you get out there and you do, because I wouldn't personally have the courage to get out there and do something like that in
He
front of
skateboards
people.
too.
Not as
He
good.
ska-
Not.
But you
Okay.
skateboard,
Yeah.
you get on the skateboard, you push around and you go
Yeah.
up and down the ramps.
Okay.
You skateboard. That's skateboarding to me.
That's pretty good with
You
no
don't have
ankle
to do
flaps.
ollies and
because it's
all
all in
that.
your ankles and
You don't have to do
skateboarding, really.
kickflips and all that, but you skateboard.
Yeah.
You know how
That's
many
sick.
people who are missing a foot? How many people who have 2 feet and they don't skateboard?
Yeah, well, just like you talked about
Right?
too, like, how many people have 2 feet and don't do anything?
There's a lot.
That's what's crazy. And that's where, like, that's something that I hope this really inspires a lot of people out there, whether you got 1 leg, 2 leg, paralyzed, not paralyzed, something out, missing an arm, leg, whatever, blind. It doesn't matter who you are or what you're going through. Danny's also said it a couple times in this, everyone's got their demons. It's not just people with amputations, right? We all have our things. But, like, if you don't do anything with your life or better yourself in any way, shape, or form, you're going to be miserable. And a lot of people are dealing with depression and mental health issues these days.
Yeah.
But it's because they're going to work, going home, and doing nothing, sitting on a couch and watching TV. And eating and not taking care of their body or doing anything to exert themselves. Like
Right.
our bodies were meant to be used.
Absolutely.
Right. And
Yeah.
we should be perfect examples of that. Like they're meant to be used. No matter what happens to them, you can still use them and move forward and do whatever you want to do if you push yourself to do it.
Right.
And so like that's so excited to have Ira here and talking about this because it's a perfect example, just like myself. Not to give myself props or anything,
Oh,
but
dude, I give you props more than I give myself props.
well, it's perspective, right? But we have our things and we talk about it all the time, but we still show up and we'll talk about what we're struggling with. You know, when we see each other at POA, we'll sit down,
Yeah.
we'll talk for 5 minutes about it. But then we also talk about what we've been doing, right?
Right.
And so like that's what's really cool is I think it's something that a lot of people need the mentality of, whether you have 2 legs, one leg and paralyzed, 2 legs and perfectly fine, right? Like it doesn't matter what you're going through. You have to do something with your life. And if you don't, you're going to struggle with mental health issues. You're going to struggle with depression because you're not using your body or living your life. Like these things are important. They're not just sports to go out and do something. It's not just the gym to go get ripped and look good and be able to flex. You know what I mean? It's good for your body, your brain, for everything. And you should never have an excuse that you're not doing something.
Right.
Because people like us would love to have your legs. And your spine. I'll take your spine if you want to donate it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
And you know that's why these podcasts, you know, whether it's, you know, or IG, YouTube, whatever it is, they're so important. You know, a lot of people, you know, for instance, it was 11 years old when you lost your leg, right?
Yep.
And you lived in a small town.
Small town.
You was the only amputee there, right?
Yeah.
He didn't have anybody to go and say, how did you overcome this?
yeah.
Right? How are you feeling? You know?
Yeah.
Nowadays with social media and stuff and podcasts, you have people like yourself that can reach out to people and say, hey, I went through that.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have that when we were kids. We didn't have social media.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's why these episodes, you know, they're so important
Yeah.
to reach out to people. You know, because there is somebody right now today that just woke up from a surgery without a foot.
Yeah.
Today, right now.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh man.
And they
Got
could
chills, man.
hopefully
Yeah.
watch this podcast and be like, oh man, like
I can do it too.
I can do it too.
Yeah, I know that. That's the advantage I had when I went through my accident. I was 22. It was 2016. We had social media.
Yeah.
First thing I did, jumped on and tried to find people that were paralyzed doing things. Right. The amputation is kind of like a little bit different for me because my paralysis takes priority. But like for me, going on and being able to find this guy named Chair Slayer who was out drifting without the use of his legs was like, oh, I can be in cars. Now I'm the world's fastest paraplegic because I chose to do it and saw other people doing it.
Nice.
And so like I have what I have, well, thanks to the big man upstairs, but
Yes,
also
sir.
because I got to see other people doing it successfully, right? In some sense, to see that like, oh, okay, like the doctors are wrong. I am going to do this and I'm going to do what I want to do. And so, yeah, I agree. To be able to show that, like, you can do whatever you want. If this man's squatting 200 plus on a nub the size of a quarter and rolling around with people like Danny and everyone
That's
else,
200
and just
plus.
like,
You know, there's this guy. I won't say his name just because maybe he doesn't want to be known or whatever. Well, he's all over social media though. But he's you know, he's a world champion in jiu-jitsu, right? From like white belt to brown belt, and he just got his black belt, being paralyzed, right? He got injured training, right? I guess he
Landed
broke
on
his
his
neck.
neck or
Yeah,
something?
yeah,
Yeah.
So here goes the guy who travels to compete. He's like so into jiu-jitsu, right? And all of a sudden his life changed doing what he loves, right?
yeah.
It gets you a little emotional,
Yeah.
right? Doing what he loves. And then I've been watching him the past year or two, and you know, with the community where everybody from jiu-jitsu, martial arts is so important, you know, and your community, you know, right? And all his friends and even people that don't know him but follow him, you know, it gave him, you know, it inspired him to keep being the athlete that he is. So it's not jiu-jitsu, right? Because he can't do it, right?
Yeah.
It goes back to where you're saying excuses and then reality, right?
Yeah.
His reality is he can't do it no more,
Yeah.
right? But what he did, now he's racing in the wheelchairs.
That's sick.
He's racing.
Yeah, found something he can do.
Exactly. He can
Yep.
still use his arms, so now he's racing
Yep.
in wheelchairs. And
You don't just give up. You're
yeah,
back.
because he's an athlete.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm an athlete. This is what I'm gonna do. So okay, I can't do jiu-jitsu, but I can do something else, right?
Yeah.
And it goes back again, like I said, excuses and reality. Sometimes you can't do it. No matter what you do, you can't do it. No matter how many times people try to make you feel the same, you just can't do that one thing. But it doesn't mean you can't do something else. Right? And to see that, it's like, man, you know, and see yourself too, man. I play golf with you every week.
Can't walk, but I can golf. I found
yeah,
myself.
but else. You know, I look at you like, you know, like I'm trying to learn how to golf, how to swing, right? And just because you swing different doesn't mean I don't get anything from you, right? There's a lot of things I get from you, right? Number one, the confidence, knowing that you're gonna hit that ball and it's gonna go where it's gonna go. That's my disability. The fact that I approach that ball and I tell myself right away, I'm gonna miss. I'm gonna slice.
You don't have the confidence.
Right. But the confidence to see you go to that ball, do what you have to do to keep balance, and then you know you're gonna hit the ball. It's gonna land on the green. You know it. You tell me. You tell me. You know, it's gonna go to the right, it's gonna come down. And do it. And I get that from you. I might not be able to get your movements. But that confidence alone, you know, and it's just inspiring, man. You know, and this might sound a little weird, but I'm fortunate to have different type of friends, right? Friends that can and friends that can't. You know what I'm saying?
You see both sides.
You see both sides, and it helps me. You know, it helps me a lot every day. It helps me. You know,
I appreciate that, man. I get that because it may sound weird coming from me, but like I find that same inspiration in people all the time, like literally all the time, just watching people do their thing, right? It's just I think it depends on what you're looking for, right? Some people don't appreciate what's around them, right? Some people may be in a position like yours and don't appreciate having friends that can show them, you know, that they can be thankful for what they have, right? And like in the same sense, for me to be able to understand that I got to be thankful for what I have because of just what you just said right there, man. And like the constant reminders that like I'm blessed to be able to be sitting here with you guys and having a conversation and be alive. You know, thank you, Jesus.
Thank God for that.
And also like I'm sorry to cut you off,
you're
but
good, man.
I remember last week or 2 weeks ago I asked you which division are you gonna play in the U.S. Open, right? And you said the sit down division, right? And I'm like, so you get to sit down. Right? Because you're saying also it's easier for them sitting down, right? Because you have to catch your balance, right?
It's a lot easier.
And you're like, I'm not sitting down.
No.
And that, I mean.
It's something that, the fact that I can do it, let me tell you now I'm going to get emotional about this one. The amount of people that told me that I would never golf again. The amount and the pain that I go through in every single swing to stand up and hit that ball. Man, I appreciate that more than anything in this life, other than my daughter and my family and my faith. But like, what I get to do in my life, that is something that like I'm always gonna stand up and do the most that I can possibly do, because the second that you get that slack, right? Excuse me. The second you get that slack from someone, or whether my dad gives it to me or you give it to me, like, you know, you can't have that. So I'm going to push until the day I can't push anymore, you know? They still tell me, Alex, my trainer, tells me to stop golfing. And every time I go see a spine doctor, they tell me to stop golfing because I'm cracking my spine and stuff. But like, it's just, no excuses. If I can do it, I'm going to do it until I can't. So, and we're doing it this year. And then you're competing this year. So
it's big things happening this year, man.
I mean,
big things happening.
You know, even with jiu-jitsu, you know, and I know Gary, our professor, said this yesterday. He's like, and people, you know, say this all the time also. They're like, oh, jiu-jitsu is a gentle art. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not the gentle art. You might think, people might say that. No. You're getting your limbs tore apart.
By strong men.
By strong men. Like, you know, I'm 150 pounds. I roll with guys like Danny that's like 200 plus. And it's not easy.
They're trying to find your weaknesses and exploit that.
And I'm telling you, I do not turn not a notch down for him. I don't.
No.
As hard as I go with somebody who's bigger and better.
Why would you?
I still go. And he gives me and that's the thing. It's just as difficult to roll with him. You know, and I'm not talking about his little hacks that he has. I'm talking about his strength.
Yeah.
his will to win. Like it's
Yep.
just as difficult as anybody else. It's nothing different.
Yep.
It's nothing different.
Exactly. Again, perception too.
Playing golf with you is nothing different.
Yeah. A little bit different, but
No,
you get
man.
to drive up to the greens and the tee boxes, man.
Hey, use that cart, buddy, as much as possible.
But yeah, no, Danny's absolutely right. Absolutely right. There's not a difference. It's you got to look at the person,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So, which is, I think, really cool. Also, that's why I love the fact that Ira brought Danny here to be involved in this, because having that perspective is important. Because I think when you're an amputee, like it's not like you're a different person, but like you think differently a lot of
Oh,
times.
yeah, absolutely.
So to hear that perspective, that like, yeah, no one else is thinking the way that you're probably thinking. They're thinking about you when you go in there, right? Or like whatever the case may be. Because I know that you have, like we talked about earlier, you have to have those thoughts, right? Just like I do. So to hear it from someone that's in there doing it with you all the time, knowing that no one's looking, no one's caring. You're just Ira that's out there just as strong. And even trickier, because now you got to be careful about that right foot.
Yeah.
So
You got to
and I love
And
that.
then when I do remember he's missing a foot, I hide it.
Yeah.
You know,
Don't
I hide it,
ever let up, man. Don't make it easy on him, man.
Being an amputee, you got to be humble too. You know, you got to be humbled. You know, and I always say this as like, you know, I know this may sound kind of crazy, but you know, God puts you in situations all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and for me, I say, hey, God did this for a reason, right?
Mhm.
I'm like, you know, and you know, I love our military and you know everything that's behind it, and you know, I personally, I think I would have went into the military if I would have had my foot.
Mm.
I don't think I'd be alive right now because of that.
Yeah.
You know, I
Especially
probably
at the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You would have
know?
been. Yeah.
And I thank God for that every day, because I'm just like, God did this to me for a reason.
Yeah.
And maybe it was to work with amputees or work with, you know, whatever the case may be.
Or maybe to inspire people who have worse problems.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you could have probably prevented somebody from committing suicide.
Yeah.
Somebody you're with every day.
Yeah.
You know, somebody who's stressed
Inspires
out,
me.
depressed.
I don't know if you consider me. I have a lot more injuries. I don't know if it's worse, but
Yeah, way more injuries
I
than
definitely.
But you
100%,
definitely
because
inspire
coming
each
up
other.
and
But you
showing
you
up-
really don't know, you know, your situation, how it changed somebody else's life that's around you all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
No, I've never even told Ira this yet, but when I first came here, I remember walking through the doors and meeting, first of all, Brad, who was up here with a group of amputees, young amputees, standing there, which I thought was mind-blowing. I've never seen anything like that in my life, to see other people just standing up like it was normal. And I had specifically left my wheelchair in the car because I didn't want to come in here to a new place in a wheelchair. Thought I'd be one of the ones walking, and not a lot of them else would be walking like my other places. And then here's all these amputees. But I remember sitting down with Brad on our first appointment and watching you walk back and then come right back. And I always remember you watching you do that walk down and back, because Joseph did it shortly after, and I watched him do it too. And after I saw that, there was something in my head that said, like, you know what? These guys, you can't even tell that they have a prosthetic. That's going to be me one day.
Yeah.
And we're 2.5 years, 3 years into this at POA now, and I'm walking so much better. And every single day that I come here and I try to walk better and better and better, it's because of the people like you and Joseph that are walking around with amputations perfectly, without a misstep. If there's the man himself, actually, holy cow. You know, with pants on, you would never know that these people are amputees.
Yeah.
And the fact that that's possible, that gives me a lot of hope. So regardless of the paralysis, I know that if I keep working and working and working, someday I'm going to be walking like you. And
it's a work in progress though too. It's, you know, it's one of those things, as being an amputee, you got to be fitted, right? You know this. And it's like, you're in a check socket. Yeah, you're in a check socket right now.
This is a test one.
like,
We're trying to test fit because I got that hole in my leg because I outgrew my last one.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a process. I mean, if somebody gets to watch this and you know, they lost their leg or whatever the case may be, remember, it's not it's not going to be an overnight thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's all
That's for sure.
There's going to be struggles.
Yeah.
Not every day is going to be perfect.
It's a learning curve.
You were in a wheelchair for 6 years, you said, right?
6.5, yeah.
Oh, well, yeah.
On a wheelchair.
Yeah, 6.5 years in a wheelchair. I would walk very short distances with double crutches, and I can't quite say that I'm not in a wheelchair yet, but I'm close. Close. So, but I get up and I walk every single day for about 2 years now.
Nice.
So, yeah. Yeah, that's another reason why I'll never sit down to golf. I sat down in a wheelchair far long enough for that. Spent a year looking at ceiling tiles in a hospital that were painted by kids. I never want to see those again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They wouldn't let me outside and stuff for the majority of my time in the hospital. It was like 5 months or something before I even saw outdoors. So I was just staring at ceiling tiles because they wouldn't even let me lift up and sit up in my bed. I had to stay at 30 degrees angle or just completely flat for like 6 or 7 months. And so to go from that to then, 10 people transferring me from a bed to a wheelchair and me screaming in pain and then passing out just from being transferred in a bed sheet from a bed to a wheelchair. Stuff like that. Yeah, and then 6.5 years in a wheelchair, trying to figure out life and how does this work. And then the little things, man, going into a store and being able to look over the shelves and like see other people in the store because I'm 6'3" and like I should be able to do that, but for 6.5 years I wasn't able to because I was in a wheelchair. So like just those little things of being able to like look and see what's going on around you, right? Or like just appreciate the angle that you see life at from up there, you know what I mean? And so I'll only sit down when I absolutely have to. My leg is killing me today. This whole time my leg has been on fire with nerve pain. It is so painful. Nerve pain is like one of the most painful things in the world.
Yes,
Phantom pain, nerve pain, that kind of stuff. And it's very similar to phantom pain that I have just nonstop right now because this socket is still not right and it's pushing on the bone where I have no skin right now. And so it's just so painful to sit here. And I had the wheelchair at home and I chose not to bring it because I wasn't going to come in here with a wheelchair when you're walking in here. So like, it's a pleasure to be able to do it. It hurts really bad, but it's a pleasure to be able to do it, man.
Yeah.
It is a pleasure. Yeah. And this guy's made sockets for me. The last one I was on for like 3 months or whatever, that was his socket that he made for me. And that I outgrew that one in like 3 months. So that was huge.
Yeah.
I've been building up my legs a little bit more. Not quite the size of your guys's, they're still skinny, but
I still can't squat with this guy squats.
This guy's crazy with the squats. We have to overlay it. If we haven't done it already, Chris is gonna do it right now again. If it's not already yet. So it's crazy. The balance on the toe and everything is just nuts. So I had one more. I forgot it. One more question before we leave. We know the next competition. Next competition is July 6th,
Yep,
and that's
ADCC.
ADCC?
Yeah.
And that's in...
Here in Orlando, actually.
Okay.
It'll be at the convention center, I think.
Can anyone watch it anywhere? Or
Yeah.
Where do you watch it at?
You can watch it
It
online.
streams on Flow Grappling.
Flow Grappling?
Yeah.
Okay, just like Flow Sports, which I use for
Exactly what it is.
racing. Okay.
Exactly what it is, Flow Sports, but you go to Flow Grappling.
Awesome. Flow Grappling.
It's the same thing, yeah.
July 6th.
July 6th.
Okay. I know that I'm going to...
Actually, he also has, if you go on YouTube and you look up, what's the title? With
ADCC, guy missing foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
ADCC, guy missing foot.
That is an awesome video.
They have a video of him competing there. Yep.
Go support Ira and watch that video. The ADCC.
ADCC.
ADCC, guy missing foot.
Yeah.
Just search that in. Go support him. Drop a like for Ira. Thank you very much, Mr. Ira. My goal, the reason I first ever even stepped foot in front of a camera was when they kept trying to take pictures and videos of me in the hospital, and I said no, and eventually realized if God gave me the attitude that I have today, then hopefully I can help someone else out there like someone helped me from watching their videos, aka Chair Slayer, Rob Parsons. I want to help one person. Today I want to help one person. That's my goal from this video and every video that we do. If there's one person out there that's an amputee watching you and he wants to get into jiu-jitsu or martial arts or anything like that, because he wants to have a similar brotherhood or mentality, something to fight for, something to push for, give them a recommendation, tell them somewhere to look, tell them what to look into, just some advice for the guys out there or women.
I feel like don't be afraid to go to a local gym.
Okay.
You know, you can go, there's so many jiu-jitsu gyms out there nowadays. And, you know, like here in Orlando, I want to say there's like 10 within like 20 miles or something crazy like that. They're everywhere. Everybody, like there's a lot of jiu-jitsu gyms. So just the first initial mentality is don't be afraid. You know, that's the biggest thing. Go into a gym.
The hardest part.
That's the hardest part is just walking into the door and signing a waiver and just jumping on the mat. You know, you cannot be afraid. And I know that's easier said than done because I was afraid. I was like, oh gosh, am I going to be able to do this, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing with martial arts or whatever the case may be. Just do it. No excuses.
Just do it. Yeah.
Just do it.
I like that.
You know, it's like riding a bike. You know how to ride a bike.
Yeah.
You know, so just jump on it. And
if you overthink it, you might fall.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and do not be afraid. Do not be ashamed because you are an amputee that you're going to feel different. It's getting, you know, acclimated with, you know, the guys that like family, like this guy. You know, one of my best friends. You know, he's taught me a lot, you know, and it's like, you know, it's guys like him that, you know, make jiu-jitsu great for me because we're not just jiu-jitsu friends, we're friends after jiu-jitsu also. And that's what jiu-jitsu holds for anybody, you know, not just for amputees. It's just like you go into a gym and you develop a family. Yeah. You develop friendship, and that's the greatest thing about it, you know. Yeah. You're not going to get that at Planet Fitness.
Yeah, that's for sure.
No pun intended at Planet Fitness.
Well, you ain't getting nothing at Planet
Fitness. You get kicked out for being too loud, man. You know, I got the cops called at me at Planet Fitness for not wearing a mask 2 years ago. Got kicked out.
But yeah, jiu-jitsu, you will build a family.
Yeah.
You know, for any amputee that's afraid to do anything workout, go try it.
Just go do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell you one. So if anybody who's watching, right, and they want to try jiu-jitsu, okay, but they're afraid to step on the mat for the first time, message Tanner.
I would say message me or Ira.
Tanner or Ira.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna put his Instagram down.
And wherever you at, find a gym, and me and Ira will fly to you and walk on that mat for the first time.
Let's go. Yeah.
That's big.
All right. Yeah. Just message them,
wow.
And we will go wherever you're at, and we'll walk on the mat for the first time with you. And I give you my word on that.
That's from Danny himself, and that's huge.
Yeah.
Thank you, Danny. Anyone out there that's an amputee that wants to do it, I'm gonna put.
It's a big thing, man.
Yeah. Well, and it is so much bigger than anything martial arts, right? It's a family. That's where a lot of kids go that are in rough houses or lives or childhoods, right? That's how it's supposed to be. Yeah. It's supposed to have a family there. So it's a perfect place for you to go. That's awesome, man. Yeah. Thank you, Danny, for putting that out there.
Of course.
I'm going to put Ira's Instagram and my Instagram down in the description below. Reach out to either one of us, and we'll definitely make sure to make that happen.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, and thank you guys again for watching. We're going to have some extra stuff here for you guys of Danny and Ira doing what they do, showing a little bit of how they do it, and well, how Danny does, or I mean, how Danny does, how Ira does it, yeah. So yeah, it's thanks for being with us, Ira, dude.
Appreciate it,
God bless you, man. Thanks for being on, Danny.
Yes,
God bless you as well, brother.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for being on.
Thank
God
you.
bless everyone who's watching. It's a pleasure to be here with you guys. Remember that we wouldn't be here without the big man upstairs.
Yes, sir.
All of us here are here for a reason. We all met each other for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. I wouldn't be going to the 2024 Adaptive US Open without Mr. Danny here. I wouldn't have met Danny without Mr. Ira here. So everything happens for a reason. Make sure you give your thanks to God, and
praise God.
Have a blessed rest of your day. Hope you guys enjoyed.